I'm a passionate person. No matter what football club I work for, I want the best. I'm a hard-working manager who wants to do well. I've proved that so far with the clubs that I've been at, and I'm really looking forward to taking this football club forward.
So, 4 years in any manager's job in this country, and probably in this decade, is an achievement, isn't it?
Well, it is, and when I look back on sort of my record at other clubs, it's been 3 years at Blackpool, 3 years just over at Leeds as well. So like 4 years at any particular club takes some doing, and obviously it's something that I'm very proud of and privileged to have done that. Coming to the club when it did, and when we look at where it was and where we are now, we've come a long way, and obviously got a lot of support with me since I've been at the football club. People below me, above me, and all them people have put together have made it easier for me to get to 4 years rather than a modern day manager who gets to about a year.
The season began with a couple of big home games. Wolves, the I think 125th anniversary of the Football League, and then Blackpool came a week later. If ever what we mentioned at the start about whether it was going to be difficult coming from Blackpool was that was put to bed really that night.
Yeah, of course it was, and since I'd left Blackpool, I'd gotten to Huddersfield and Leeds as well before that. So you saw my emotions when we scored the winner, and obviously for Tom Clark as an individual, it's a great way for him to have one of his earlier performances and games, and great for the football club to put one over your rival, and probably set us up on a real positive manner for large parts of that season.
Yeah, there's some really key things that season. Joe Garner started to come to the fore. He'd come in under the previous manager. Only had a couple of months. We played out on the wing, not really a chance, but he started to show what he was capable of. And you really, you and the coaching staff, you got the best out of it.
Yeah, I think when you look at Joe, I knew his record from when he was at Carlisle, and obviously they got good moves to Forest and Watford off the back of it, and came here, so knew exactly what he was all about. And it's like any player, you want to get the best out of them, whether they're a striker, a defender, midfield player, wide player. You've got to make sure that you get the best out of them to perform on a regular, consistent basis, and make them enjoy coming into work. And it worked for Joe, as it has done for a lot of other players, and that's how I've always worked in the 10 years as a manager, that try and get the best out of the players. Man management in football, I think, is one of the biggest key factors of a successful club, because ultimately the players are there to play for you, and they get the results for you. So you get that right, you're a long way down the line of being successful, and Joe was a massive part of that season and the following season, and many other players as well.
We went through to the end of that season. It was a battle all the season. Ended up in the playoffs. Obviously, the great moment of Joe's goal here, one of the best goals seen at Deepdale, and then that was followed up by the disappointment. How difficult for you personally was that to take at Rotherham?
Well, I think it was difficult and disappointing for everybody. I'd suffered it at Leeds one of the first years that I was there as well, but ultimately used it as a motivation for myself and the rest of the players that we didn't want to go through that again, and we wanted to go to the next level, and that was the case. Again at Leeds the following year we got promoted, as we did with Preston, so it was a motivation of not having that feeling of disappointment the following year, have the different side of the coin where you're obviously full of excitement and joy, and that's what obviously followed.
How important is it that the people you work for, the board, the owner here, are very level-headed? So you have a couple of results like that, and they're not those. You talk about it a lot, about players not getting too excited when you win a couple, not getting too negative when you lose a couple. It's very important that the people above you do that.
Well, of course they do. And look at the modern day football manager now. You lose a few games and you really are looking over your shoulder. But really, I've never really felt like that at all since I've been here, because I've had the trust from Peter and the owner that they knew that I was doing the right thing. They'd been in the game long enough. The loyal people who understand that you're going to get some blips along the way. It's obviously what you do, and if a blip continues to go a lot further down the line, I'm not daft enough to think as a manager you're not going to survive in your job. But little tiny blips at some clubs can be seen as a disaster. At this football club they're just seen as a blip, and we move on and try and make things better, and full credit to Peter and the owner for sticking by us at times when even some of the home supporters, I'm sure, were calling from ahead, but ultimately we're sitting here now 4 years down the line and looking well in the Championship.
Last season, you look to build on that, and you certainly did. A top half finish was a fantastic achievement with in terms of resources and everything. What you did last year is you made yourselves very difficult to beat. It's been the trend of the last 4 years, but you made yourselves very difficult to beat and started to progress sort of the attacking side the more the season went on.
Yeah, I think we weren't at a level with the players that we had and who we were competing against to go out and be an attack-minded team that were going to be able to sort of go and beat the big teams on a regular basis. We had to be hard to beat. You had to do the right things, to be competitive, to be attack-minded at certain situations, play long, play short, mix your game. I think that's pretty much been my philosophy as a manager all the way through, that I've got one set style of playing. I want to make sure that players mix the game up and do whatever is required to win games.
The two most memorable days were probably, three most memorable days were probably the three Derby away days. But you look into March, the win on Gentry Day at Bolton was a fantastic one, and then Blackburn. That was the highest away following by any club in England last season. It was a phenomenal sight, and to go and win at Blackburn for the first time in 30 odd years really was a memorable afternoon.
Yeah, it certainly was. I think when you go out to Ewood and you see the away following in the numbers that there were, it was inspiring for the players, and we went a goal down, and then they had Duffy sent off, which gives the opportunity to get back into the game, and from then on we were very much in control. So it was a great occasion. Like you said, we went to Bolton on Gentry Day with all the supporters. Jordan Ugal got the one of the goals, and was it him or Callum Robinson who had the hat on, and a picture that everybody's enjoyed seeing. So some great away days last year, some good home days, and you could see that the unity was back amongst the supporters and the players. Everybody cared for each other, everybody was as one, and that's how we'd tried to create this football club from day one of walking back in here.
Bringing us up to date, the football has evolved, hasn't it? You look at the last couple of weeks and what you've seen. You described it last night. The half hour against first half hour against Birmingham was perhaps as good as you've seen while you've been manager here. It really has evolved.
Well, you've got to keep moving forward, and by doing that, you're making the squad better. And when you look now to what our attacking threats are, and players that can create and handle the ball and score goals, is on a different level from day one. No disrespect to sort of the likes of Chris Beardsley and other players like that who were in this team, but we've moved along, and we've now been able, because we've moved forward as a football club, to bring the likes of Aidan McGeady to the football club, and people like we've invested in Ben Pearson, Callum Robinson, DJ, Alan Brown. We've recruited young hungry players who I do think have got some real natural ability, and we want all the players to express themselves, and you're seeing it now that they're working hard, because that's the first thing that I require from any player, whether he's got skill or not, that he has to do a team ethic, the teamwork, but use your individual ability that you've got. And I've never won for having to go at players if they try and do something in that final third, because it's what they're there to do. They're there to entertain supporters, so we have to get the right mixture, and we feel that we're progressing in that respect.
What you have seen and what we just talked about before about these last few games, you must be quite excited at the moment. You're 4 years in, but the excitement, the factor of what this team can achieve and how they can improve must really get you awake in the morning.
Yeah, definitely, and it's something that we work extremely hard on in training. We don't just come in on a 9 o'clock in the morning and go home at 2 o'clock without doing any work. We spend a lot of time on the training pitch with the players to make sure that they're prepared for every game, that they're excited about what they're going to do, the ability that what we've got in the group, and there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes with like the Snods, Tomo and myself on the football side, Alan Kelly, and then people like Matt Jackson, Tom Little and all his staff to get the players out onto the training pitch and as fit as they can be when we can do the work. So it's a big team effort from us all, and everybody sort of has contributed, and hopefully we'll keep progressing, keep seeing where it takes us, and ultimately try and get this football club into the Premiership, which I think one day it deserves.
Yeah, that's where I'd like to finish with the staff. We've spent probably 20 minutes or so talking to you, but they deserve a heck of a lot of credit. It goes unnoticed what goes on with them, but particularly you listen to player interviews and they talk about little chats they'll have with Tomo or with Snods, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on mentally as well as tactically and with the players to get them right for a Saturday.
Yeah, definitely, and I think the thing that we've tried to do is to make sure that they're all ready tactically, but ultimately they're relaxed in what they're going to do. There's too much pressure on players in football anyway, or in professional sport, that they have to perform, and sometimes if you're uptight you can't perform to the best of your ability. And Aidan McGeady's a great example of somebody who's sort of not been utilised in the right manner, but through myself, Snods and Tomo and others, we seem to get the best out of him, and that's something that I've certainly concentrated on no matter where I've been at. And it's no sort of coincidence that people say, well, how have you got the best out of Beckford or others and others and others who've probably not figured at other clubs. And it's a massive part of day-to-day working with players, that the staff hopefully enjoy working with me. I trust them, that's why they're working with me. I make key decisions in terms of getting rid of staff, bringing new staff in, and that's all I have to do, because I think I'm trying to do the best for this club, and the staff that I have working for me are not all just sort of, yes Gaffer, you're doing the right thing. They're there to be my soundboard, and sometimes they'll give me ideas which I maybe not thought about in the past. So they give me some rubbish ideas as well, which I disappear straight into the bin at times, but ultimately we're a team, and that's what we've always tried to focus on, and will do in the future.
And as a football club, to be a team, to be as one, everybody has to be united. You talked about it. You said that was your first job when you came in, and it's still a job every week now to ensure that everybody in this stadium, whatever stadium we're playing in, are united on and off the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. You go back to the early days when it was not the nicest environment to be involved in, but even now you see, sort of, even when we've lost the match, the supporters are still acknowledging the players of what they've done, even if they've not got the result that they'd like. Yeah, there'll be the odd disappointment and the odd boo here and there, which is part and parcel of football. But ultimately, if the supporters can see the players giving their all for the shirt week in, week out, whether you've won, lost or drawn, then that will do me. And that's how we've tried to come together as a football club, and hopefully that will keep continuing over the many years to come.